Today on Holy Thursday, the Matins of which we just celebrated in preparation for the Divine Liturgy tomorrow morning, we remember the Nativity, the washing of the feet. We remember the institution of the Eucharist, tomorrow of which is the commemoration of it. We remember the Lord's great prayer in the garden. We remember his betrayal. We remember that he is entering into his voluntary passion. As we are gathered together, one of the things that strikes me is that we often think that many of the things that happened with Christ happened to him almost in his timing, but not of him being voluntary. We see him being seized, we see him being scourged, we see him being put to death. But in fact, all of these things happen with his condoning. All of them happen according to his plan. When we think of him giving up his spirit on Holy Friday, it doesn't say in the gospel that he gave up his spirit and his head fell. It says he bowed his head and he commended his spirit into his Father's hands. He chose the time. Likewise, this evening, he chose the time of his betrayal. One of the things that might sound unusual is Christ doesn't say to his disciples, go into the city, go to Mark's house by tradition, and set up for the Passover. He says, go into the city, find a man with a stone jar. Follow the man with the stone jar to his house. Tell the householder that he will celebrate the Passover there, and ask for the guest room. It's very cryptic. Now we ask ourselves why he says it in that way. It's because Judas is looking for the opportunity to betray him. And Christ is not yet at the point at which he is wanting to be betrayed, at which he is willing to give up his freedom that he may enter into the hands of the authorities and be put to death. So he very cryptically finds a place that he can go and celebrate this Last Supper and share with his disciples the philosophy, the directive of being the servant all, of breaking the bread, of putting in place the Eucharist by consecrating body and blood. Afterwards, it is known that Christ would go stay in the evening at Bethany, about 2 miles away from Jerusalem. And as he would go from Jerusalem to Bethany, he would stop at the Mount of Olives in the garden. And Judas knew this. So Christ goes there. He begins to pray, and he waits for Judas to arrive. Again, he defines the moment at which he is going to allow himself to be sacrificed, turned over for the life of the world. I think that many of us can understand this. Think about our own parents on this earth, our mother and our father, and perhaps all the sacrifices that they may have made that we may have a full and better life. Of course, they don't look at these things as sacrifices because they do them for us. In the same way, from the time that we were in the Garden of Eden, it was planned that the second person of the Trinity, Christ, would come into the world that he may save us from ourselves, that he may save us from entering into the realm of death, that he may give us a path to salvation. Let us remember over these next few days, as we commemorate the Passion, the Crucifixion, and the Resurrection, that Christ defined all of these moments, how they would come about, when they would come about, and how he would offer himself as a sacrifice. I pray that God give each of us strength as we enter into these next few days where we grieve together and then celebrate. May the Holy Trinity bless and protect you. Kali Anastasi to a blessed rest.